In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a soft soldered pendant using the Tiffany technique. If you've begun watching this video and have already decided that this jewelry making journey seems too arduous, these pendants and many more are available to buy from my store. Here are the tools that you will need to complete this project: a soldering iron, solder wire, flux, some craft wire or paper clips, copper tape, and a pair of scissors. Now the first step in our jewelry making adventure is to pick a centerpiece. I'm using a flashy blue labradorite that's been hanging around and waiting for a purpose for much longer than he'd care to admit. You can pick absolutely anything you have lying around the house to be your centerpiece, may it be a bone, a tooth, a mirror, a guitar pick, or a fountain pen tip. Perhaps you oft find yourself spontaneously partaken with the passionate will of a Victorian lady to pin down your innermost thoughts. Once you've chosen your centerpiece, we're going to cut a piece of wire. If money be thy greatest object, grab a paper clip and unfurl that instead. Or even take a trip under the cover of darkness to your local railway line. However, this step is not advised. Make sure that the wire wraps all the way around your centerpiece. Be generous, you can always cut it down later. Next, we're going to cut a length of copper tape that's the same as the length of wire. Then placing the wire on the top edge of the tape and rolling it over like a roulade.
Caution. Smokers, surgeons and miniaturists will exceed expectations at this step.
Then, we're going to take your roulade and wrap it around the centerpiece with the wire facing towards the top of your stone. As we wrap, press the tape against the back of the centerpiece, and when you get to the end, snip off the excess, because nobody needs any extra baggage these days. We have enough going on and not going on simultaneously, all at once. It's a pretty fluxed up world out there.
Yes, I realise that joke is too soon, but it will make sense later.
Sometime around this stage of filming, I decided that I wanted to make a series of bolo ties, so in a second I will begin to cover the back of the stone in copper tape too. If your stone is translucent, you probably want to leave the back open so the light can travel through. A sharp kitchen knife or scalpel can even up the tape on the back. If your stone is translucent, but you also want to make a bolo tie now that I've mentioned it, I can't fault you for copying because it's simply a wonderful idea. I suggest painting the back of the stone white with acrylic or nail varnish before applying the copper tape. For this next step, we need to find something with a smooth edge, such as a lollipop stick, a teaspoon, or a piece of takeaway cutlery. They can be new or used, it will not matter, and nobody is judging. Using the smoothed edged implement, smooth out the creases in the taping because the solder will flow best along a smooth surface. Now whilst I finish up the rest of this batch, let's have future Annie tell you a story. Last night, which is this morning, I dreamt I was at this festival or event or some kind of the festival was surrounded by this beautiful lake and I really want to go swimming in it, so I made friends with this gentleman. Yeah, I reckon he was in his 50s or so. Anyway, we became buddies and I was like, yeah, let's go and swim in the lake. And then swam out to where there were some people and just kept swimming and then we kind of turned around this corner in the lake and the cliff just dropped away and it was so beautiful. But the lake was just harbouring this city of machine, but it was like a huge generator. And when you kind of rounded this corner, you were with all of this electrical wiring. And it was I could see the electrical current going through the wire, and it was huge wires, wires the size of my wrist. So much charge going through it. I remember just feeling so scared because I was I'm underwater and I'm watching this electric current get passed through this wire. If something breaks down, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna get electrocuted. And then so I decided to leave the lake. It was too scary after. Anyway, it ended up the generator was powering this place called the Bitter Lake, and the Bitter Lake was the place where a human being went when
0118 999 88199 9119 7253.
We're finally ready to begin soldering. I'm going to be using my handy phalange extension device, but if you don't have one, I recommend using a certain tacky glue that's BLU stuff, which will hold your piece in place. Even if you're using a fluxed core solder, I still recommend also using liquid flux. Once your piece is fluxed up, work the solder over the piece using the soldering iron. The solder will flow very easily, and if it doesn't, please return to the beginning of adventure. Most of the issues I've encountered when soldering have been caused by the soldering tips. They just don't make them like they used to. As you work, the tip becomes oxidized, which prevents the heat from conducting, so make sure you regularly clean it. Some other common issues might be the temperature of your soldering iron, you aren't using enough flux, or perhaps this project really was not made for you. Once you've gone all the way around, it should look something like this. It is now time for me to take several days off this video and walk my dog, walk somebody else's dog, visit Teletubby Land, and enjoy some rare Glaswegian sunshine. As I return to the bench, I have decided that I want to create some texture. The vibe can be encompassed in the following words: Dragonclaw, nests of ivy, the matrix, intertwined, organic, and industrial. Very slowly, I am adding large dollops, yes, it is a technical term, using the soldering iron, and then lifting away from the bezel very slowly with the soldering iron. This means the solder cools as it rises and it forms a spike. You're aiming for the spikes to be about the height of a squirrel's toenail. Next, we're going to push the spikes in towards the centerpiece so that they hold it in place and decorate it. I'm using a bezel pusher, but if you don't have one of those, a tin can or a pair of nail clippers will work fine. As you push the spikes inwards, the taping might shift or the solder split. So we're going to repeat the process of copper taping, fluxing and soldering. This will reseal your piece and then voila, you are done. If you want to add a loop to hang this piece on a necklace, simply wrap some wire in copper tape and solder it all together. The final step is to rub-a-dub scrub your pieces. Run some cold soapy water and use a soft bristled toothbrush to clean away the excess flux. Et voila! Here you have our soft soldered necklace pendant.